Alright then. Time to go to the Tower of Latria, which is the archstone behind me. So without further ado, let's do this. A lot of people dislike this level. I used to as well, until I figured out the keys and the order that you use them in. A lot of people really don't like the tentacle head mage guy who freezes you then rapes you with his Rohypnol blast. I didn't either until I realised how to evade it and how they behave. And even with that knowledge, they can still get you. They're a nuisance. But it's an interesting level. A lot of people like this level because of the atmosphere. I don't really play these games for the atmosphere, guys. I appreciate it, but I'm not really somebody who stands around and soaks in the ambience. It's not my way of playing. Like, be under no illusion. I play Dark Souls for the combat. I play Dark Souls for just the challenge, the responsiveness, and just the depth. It's so much more interesting than your standard action game. That's Sage Frake over there. That's the scrubber that's going to try and date rape us. So we're going to go, surprise, date rapist! And we're going to take him out. And that guy is a weirdo. But it's cool. Because he's a dead weirdo. And we've saved this area till last. Well, I say last, till very close to last. Not because of it's difficult or it's a challenge or anything like that. It's just we didn't need to come here. And now that we're coming this way, we have wicked damage output. So this level is going to be a joke, hopefully. The first boss is this game's equivalent of Pinwheel 2, which is going to be funny because everybody who's played Dark Souls knows Pinwheel's not very hard. And it'll be interesting to see how quickly we kill her. If we kill her, you never know, she might get me. There's also a red phantom, sorry. Or a black phantom, depending on what you want to call them, on the way. Who's cheap because she can inflict you with plague, and if you've never come across plague, it's a pain in the ass. And that's why they've put her there. She's also, I think she's wearing that ring where you can't see her until you're a certain distance. So she hits you with a crossbow before you've even met her, which is not very polite. But luckily enough, I know she's coming, so I always have my shield up, and we should be able to deal with her very simply. It appears to be locked. You cannot go that way just yet. Instead, you have to talk to the singing lady, who's coming up. You can open those Iron Maidens if you want to. Oh god. Got your nose. That's a bunch of 4-floor keys. Always good to see. What does he drop? Fresh spice. The best friend of the mage. Oh no! Yeah. I might have played this level before, but that still catches me out just because the game is so fucking dark. There is no reason for this game to be this dark. And it looks like Dark Souls 2 is going to be all about light and darkness, so it's going to be my nightmare. Because I am not a fan of not being able to see, especially when they do that, where they hide falls in shadows. But that's why this game's got such a big reputation for being bullshitty. Because of that very thing. It's what makes it renowned. Or renowned. This level's really quiet. Really quiet, not that many enemies, because the ones it does have are douchebags. That's the key that we got just a moment ago. That's the door it opens. There's a date raper in here, so watch him. Can always tell when he's going to freeze you because he goes all green on his lantern, and he fires essentially a Hadouken of green energy, which immobilizes you. If you can avoid that, he's a cream puff. But if he hits you with it, he immediately follows up with a grab. And his grab does a lot of damage. A wicked amount of damage. Just be a little bit more tentative. The woman singing is a merchant. And she's got a couple of decent things. But we're pretty much set for the game now, guys. We've got the sword we wanted. This shield is more than good enough to do everything I need it to do. I'm not bothered about armour. I want a specific ring coming up, but that's just because I like the ring itself. There's no real further mystery. Couple more keys. This is the last key we need is for that door that we just couldn't open. And I believe you get it on the bottom floor where the giant fetus of dead legs tries to kick your face in. Extremely polite of it. Not a fan. Let's have a look. Where are we going? Right. Prison of Hope, floor 1. So it's you see it? That big old ball of dog shit over there? Not friendly. Do not play with it.
Please.
Not only does it fire magic at you, but it can also do a multi-hit melee attack, which is... I think they're only for the ladies, them, which is bullshit, because I believe they give you a bonus of something interesting. Ooh. Yeah. I normally ignore the shinies on this level, which to some people is very difficult to do. It's classed as a sin. There's a fall coming up on one of these bits. Need to see how it's intentionally making the ground dark. It does that when it wants to catch you out. I think it's very, very rude. The fall's on this corner. It's just there. And I think the key is next to the big arrow machine, which is just through here. You're going to see it turn on now. This level's got some really weird pacing. It's a very strange level. But if you just eke your way over to this, the shiny there is... Be very careful though. That is the key you need. You can go up there if you want to and dodge the arrows. There's a timing to it. It's very tricky. I personally wouldn't recommend it. I'm going to go around and then I'm going to get my clever cat ring, which I'll probably never use in this playthrough because this weapon seems to be extremely powerful as it is. Oh wow. This is not what I want it to be, but I think Riddell's that way, or Rydell, or Ridiel, however you want to pronounce his name. What we're going to do is we're going to go past this thing. And there's another door. He's firing his laser, can you hear it? And then we go to the area where we needed the key previously, but we didn't have one. And that will lead us to the area that we need to go, which is this. So that is pretty complicated. It's confusing, you know, figuring out what key does what, where you find the keys, you know, what correlates to which area. It's not easy, and that's why this level is one of those levels that a lot of people dislike. And it's at least it's for a good reason. Dropping spies. I don't really care about spies. I have played as a spellcaster. It's really fun. It's just this build is going to have none of that. No music in this level so far either. It's just a hiss. It's just that night hiss that you get when you're outside. This is going to turn the machine off, which is what we need. Booyakasha. There it goes. and then we can go and pick up all the goodies. Storage Soldier's Soul, always good. Clever Cat Ring, that's what you want. That's a beast of a ring. Renowned Soldier Soul. Renowned Soldier Soul, and probably another something soldier something. Oh no, Ephemeral Eyes. But the sky is weird in this place, look at it. It's like a spider's web. I have no idea why. Oh, excuse me. So before we run down there, we need to go and kill an asshole. And I call this guy an asshole because he's going to intervene on the boss fight if we don't kill him. And this is one of those moments where on your first playthrough of this game, if you do not know anything about it, this is going to catch you off guard. And I need some water. Excuse me. Because someone decided to have the ability to revive a boss, which that's taking healing a boss to a whole new level. Because I don't like bosses that can heal. I think healing bosses is cheap. I think bosses that once you kill them come back to life is even cheaper. So get rid of him. That I think opens, is it Freyk's cell? And the key to the other guy is at the top of the Tower of Latria when you have pure white-willed tendency. So there's a lot of systems at play in this game that are confusing. But I'm hoping Dark Souls 2 goes closer to this, because this game had much more creativity with its weapons. You know, weapons that do very specific things. We need to have more nuance. We need to have more specific tools. Tools that reward certain builds. You know, there's every fucking mage uses a Moonlight Greatsword because it's the only weapon that's amazing with that build. The only thing that comes close to that is like Velka's Rapier, and that's much harder to use. So every build uses the Moonlight Greatsword, and I don't want that in Dark Souls 2. This is the Red Phantom. Watch this for pop-up. Oh! You see that, boys and girls? That is why this game is bullshit. If she hits you with that dagger, it will cause plague. Just be aware of it. And a really cheap way of beating her is spacing her and getting her to use the crossbow. When she uses the crossbow, go in and smack her like I did. You'll notice she's going to run at me and she's going to hit me every time. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and parry her knowing that that's her behaviour. There you go. Because like I say, on this game, the parries are so fast, you have to predict them. There's almost no way to sight parry unless it's a very slow swing. So if you know an enemy's going to attack, if you throw a parry out, chances are you will get the parry. If they don't and they delay, then you'll miss it, of course, but you saw me do it to her, you saw me do it to Satsuki. A lot of the NPCs do the same thing. They run at you and they attack, and they all have pretty quick attacks if they're using weapons like daggers or katanas. They're nowhere near as diverse as the NPCs in Dark Souls, who have slower attacks, heavier attacks, alternate attacks. Like if that had been Petrus, there'd have been no way that would have been a parry, because the parry system is too different. And the NPCs are different too. Which do I prefer? You might be thinking. I prefer Dark Souls all day, every day. I just think it's a better parry system. It's more lenient, yes, but more lenient is not necessarily a bad thing. So, this is false idol. That is a false idol, get it? Oh no, that is a floor trap. That is a magic arrow. And the trick here is whichever one fires the non-fake projectile at you is the right one. This one is the right one that we've got here. And that is the end of the fight. And if it's better to kill her closer to up here, because you can pick up the baby's nail, which I'm going to have trouble grabbing before the end. Yeah, fuck it. But note to self, grab it as soon as the fight begins so that you don't miss it. It's a really fun weapon. It's a cool weapon for PvP. And hello Anno Londo, because if anybody remembers the cutscene that takes you from one place to the next, you'll recognise these guys. Which is so strange. The animation on this enemy, when it moves, when it lands, is really creepy. They move too fast. They've almost got a speed enhancement on their normal motions, and it makes them appear very, very, just really creepy. It's disheartening to see them moving. This is the top end of Latria, anyhow. I'm gonna skip this now. I am in human form, which is not a good idea for World Tendency events. There is... And let's get back to the Nexus. Job's a good one. This next bit, much harder than that we just did.